Na basi mtazamaji, moja kwa moja anaelekea kule kaunti Mombasa, ambapo sasa hivi basi kongamano la wahariri wa vyombo vya habari linaendelea, na nazungumza sasa katika hilo kongamano ni kiongozi wa wachache pale bungeni ambaye ni bwana John Mbadi. Hebu tuwasikize.
And 10 days, 14 days lapses. Then what happens? I didn't expect such a question from a reporter covering parliament, who knows very well that 14 days kicks in only when the bill has arrived at State House. When it is still in Parliament, there is nothing like 14 days. So the question I ask is, really, media houses, when you are sending these, your journalists or reporters to cover Parliament, do you carry out an assessment, analysis, evaluation to see if they are doing a good job? I'm not asking you to go and sack your staff. It is food for thought. It is a space for capacity building. Let me move quickly to promoting good governance, which is balancing between ethics, self-regulation, and national interest. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no gainsaying that the media plays three key roles in promoting good governance. One is watchdog role. The other one is civic forum. It acts as a civic forum. And it is also agenda setter. The media is agenda setter. Whether we like it or not, the media can decide what we discuss in this country for a whole month. When they decide, unfortunate as it is, that it is now the issue of Sharon to occupy our mind, whether I like it or not, I will watch it, I will read it throughout until the time you will decide to change the topic. If it is VAT or fuel, we'll follow suit. So you are agenda setter in this country. Now, that comes with the responsibility, because you may set us on a wrong agenda for a very long time, forgetting the most critical issues of concern to the people. So media is the most important vital element for dissemination of information. That I think I've said, that the role of media has become extremely critical for smooth functioning of democracy, as it helps in forming public opinion on vital topics. And we must actually protect the role of the media in promoting democracy. That is why some of us have stood with you. Even when the government, and many times the government will always aggress any government in power, by the way. Even in developed countries, even developed democracies, governments, if given space, will always muscle and interfere with media freedom. So it is the work of either the opposition, the civil society, or those who are interested in democracy to protect the media. It is my understanding that in fact, before I leave that point, there was a time we had a rally in Busia, and I felt the media, was it KTN? KTN was always reporting negatively against my party, and I felt this was not fair. So I decided now to use the podium that I had as the chairman of ODM and tell KTN to behave. The following day, I got representation, calls, and they said, not you, Mbadi. You know, we know you as one who protects the media. And I learned my lessons then, that probably I overstepped. I became overzealous with defending my party to the extent that probably now I was not working in the best interest of the country. And the best interest of the country is a bigger picture. It's not about my party suffering at that time, but the bigger picture is, if you compromise press, media freedom, you will not get it back again. It's difficult. Those of us who probably were there ahead of us, and those of us who might have read this, it took lives, it took pain for Kenyans to get back the freedoms after we lost the freedoms in the 1980s, early 80s and late, even up to 90, I think. It is my understanding that self-regulation is a combination of standards setting out the appropriate codes of behavior for the media that are necessary to support responsible reporting, and process how those behaviors will be monitored or held to account. Self-regulation preserves independence of the media and protects it from partisan government interests. So what I'm underscoring is self-regulation for the media. No one should think of regulating the media. Media must do self-regulation. There is no two way about that. Ladies and gentlemen, elements of ethics include the principles of truthfulness, accuracy, objectivity, impartiality, and fairness. I think I've talked about this. much as we want to protect the freedom of the media, we want you to self-regulate. The ethical standards also require you as the media, as journalists, to be truthful, to be accurate, to be objective, and impartial and fair to all of us. I remember in the last general election, just the last election, during the party primaries, even before we started counting votes in my constituency, party primaries, one media house, and you must know that by then there was no handshake, so you must know which TV station was this, who was really against me. Now probably it would report differently with this handshake. By that time, they decided to run a story that I've already lost. And I'm losing and we have not even counted. Fortunately, two media houses saved me and said, no, actually, the vote counting has just begun. Imagine if that story was left to proceed. And then, finally, I was declared the winner as I was declared the winner. What would have happened? Chairman has rigged himself in. He lost party primaries, and now he has rigged himself, chairman of OGM. So, as you report, as you have your other issues, please, fairness is also very important. In fact, I got annoyed with that media house for almost 2 months. I could not grant them any interview, but we made up. Now we are good friends again. And again, with the handshake, the media house they are now my friend. Yeah, so I've talked about fairness. Alongside journalists' codes of ethics, therefore, it is helpful to have guarantees of editorial independence so that the journalists are able to operate free of direct control of the commercial interests of the owners. This is another area where we have a problem. There is commercial interest of the owners. There is interest of the senior editors, the newsroom. Sometimes you find a story which you told to a journalist has been misreported, turned upside down. When you talk to that journalist, he tells you, Mheshimiwa, mimi nilifanya kazi yangu vizuri, lakini ikifika kule kuna mtu hapo ameongeza zake. Now you left wondering, surely, if you want to go to the field as an editor and collect news, go and collect it. Instead of putting someone, collect news, brings it, and then you put your own stuff in it. In so doing, safeguarding national interests is of utmost importance. I cannot overemphasize that. This is because in this digital age, the internet and the web have been hailed as offering a new global, boundless space, which thus exposes our country to new international threats. Allow me to quickly move to pushing the legislative agenda to the front pages. What opportunities exist? Ladies and gentlemen, the relationship between Parliament and the media cannot be legislated, but instead a cooperative relationship can only come from responsible and fair behavior in their dealings with each other. This is for both of us. We need to see how we relate with each other. Of course, I said we cannot also be too close, because otherwise we would end up compromising ourselves or our positions. The challenge for MPs is how best to react to errors of reporting or to what they see as excessive criticism, as opposed to trying to prevent them from occurring at all. In responsible reporting on an honest Parliament, therein lies the first opportunity to push the legislative agenda to the front pages. Another opportunity lies in Parliament being in the forefront to increase the public's right to access to information. I think we have made some steps as national or as Parliament on this line. I remember when we came in, there was no even live coverage, but immediately in the 10th Parliament, that is, the Speaker then allowed live coverage even without the legal framework. And that, I think, has really enhanced access to information in terms of even knowledge that Kenyans have about the operations of Parliament. Committees, and many of them are now covered live. At least the citizens, the voters now appreciate that MPs do a lot of work outside the plenary of Parliament. They have committee sittings where there's a lot of work going on. We should therefore give as much access as possible to the media, who act as a medium for information about Parliament and the legislative process to the public. A lot still needs to be done. Parliament should give media support in terms of space, access to staff and resources in Parliament, and access to places where MPs and journalists can meet. So what I am saying in short is that we need to develop some kind of cooperation which is healthy for better functioning of Parliament and also better functioning of the media to inform the public. But I also, Mashare Gaido actually threw a challenge to us. But I also want to throw back challenge to you. You know, when it is wrong really to summon a journalist for covering a story. But we need to ask, what is summon? What constitutes summon? When you cover a story and you say that Mbadi has been bribed, for example, Parliament needs to take action on me, because powers and privileges require that I am held accountable. Then how will I be subjected to powers and privileges committee without that journalist who made that allegation appearing before powers and privileges to give some information? It may not be everything. You may not have to disclose your source, because I know you media really protect yourselves, and I would support that, because if I was your source and you expose me anyhow, I would, next time I would not give you that story. So I tend to think that sometimes the communication is not clear. Sometimes you take it that it is a summon by Parliament, and it is not. It is an invitation by Parliament to help in the investigation. How then would we know? Like the case that has been cited, this one of the People newspaper. The People newspaper has made very serious and, to me, important allegations, which would help this country if such things happen in Parliament, to be rooted out so that Parliament as an institution becomes clean. We should not have an institution as important as Parliament, which has responsibility, heavy responsibility of oversighting, having tainted image. But when you make that, that assertion, an allegation, it is only fair that you help the relevant committee of Parliament or even other external agencies to investigate the matter. Otherwise, how would Parliament investigate that matter? How would other agencies investigate it? You are the first point of call. You are the first person who, I don't want to call it a person of interest. You are not a person of interest, but you are the first witness in this. So I think sometimes probably we need to communicate better, so that it is understood that when the speaker, for example, asks the journalist to give evidence, it is not that we are summoning the journalist, but just asking the journalist to help us, or to help the speaker and to help Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, it is crucial for the relationship between parliamentarians and the media to be of mutual respect and free of excessive mistrust. Because what I see is mistrust. A good relationship between us is essential to the good functioning of the institutions, and both sides stand to gain from working towards improving this relationship. Parliament and the media share responsibility to contribute to political, economic, and social development in ways consistent with democratic principles. Therefore, both must be aware that economic development is best achieved and sustained in societies that are democratic and well-informed. Societies that are democratic and well-informed. So members of Parliament must know that the public have a responsibility, there's need for the public to be informed. And the only people who can inform the public is the media. So we need to respect that. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk briefly about, and this is, I'm nearing completing my presentation. I took longer than I expected. Parliament at the digital age.
Na mtazamaji, bila shaka ni mkutano wa wahariri wa vyombo vya habari ambao unafanyika pale katika jiji la Mombasa. Na mtazamaji, mkutano huu umeanza siku ya leo, na anayezungumza kwa sasa ni kiongozi wale wachache bungeni Bwana John Mbadi. Na mtazamaji, tunazidi kufuatilia matukio maeneo hayo na tutaweza kuletea taarifa zaidi kuhusiana na hilo kongamano pamoja na taarifa nyingine nyingi ambazo tumekuandalia siku ya leo kwenye taarifa za leo mashinani.